guys, welcome to Synapse Pod today. Today I am taking the liberty of hosting the session today, taking the baton from Chirag and Manik. So it was quite a battle there to get it there. And I would like to introduce myself. I'm Avinash. We got Manik, Chirag, Ayush, and Paras, the regular five. Today we have a very interesting topic to discuss. It's a global job market with India as a center discussion, obviously. And today we'll be touching up various topics from the Great Resignation to people traveling abroad from India for job opportunities to the skill sets required, for the future jobs, which is the talk of the town. So it's a good long discussion and expecting a lot of interesting opinions on this. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be very helpful for our audience as well. So let's start.
Perfect. So Avinash, what do you want to explain the topic in the sense that what is it exactly that we are discussing? Are we discussing about immigration? Are we discussing about brain drain, or are we discussing about like salary gaps? What do you think?
We're going to discuss honestly about a little bit of everything because when it is about job market, it actually encompasses everything, right? Because the basic aspiration of a human is to make money, is to develop that kind of a satisfactory feeling at work, and then when we talk about that, we cannot avoid the immigration thing, the brain drain, the skill set. So I want to open the floor with the basic idea, that countries like Singapore and Canada, they are going very aggressive for attracting the talent pool, which has kind of depreciated to US in the last 2 to 3 years, specifically after the pandemic. So, Chirag, would you like to start on that?
No, I actually think Paris and Ayush can actually say a few things about Singapore, Canada, and all these places since they have experience in working in those geographies. So, what do you think, guys?
Yeah, so basically there was a very interesting graph that went viral a couple of weeks back that was showing how the people are moving from US and Western countries to Southeast Asian countries. So it was basically showing how the job markets are moving away from the Western countries, which was very dominant in the past for like few decades, but now it is shifting to countries like Dubai, Singapore, Hong Kong, and like multiple other Southeast Asian countries. In fact, I mean, so that was the idea. Like why it is happening, and what does it signify? Does it signify that people are not looking towards West uh, with respect to job market, with respect to research and development, or what is happening? So I mean, there can some of the key elements that we can look into is the startup market is actually growing in the Southeast Asian countries as compared to like earlier unicorns, earlier big startups were focused or concentrated in the US region, right? Like California region and New York and multiple other places in the US. But we have seen unicorns coming out of Indonesia. Gojek was one of the celebrated company there. We have seen so many unicorns coming out of India. So I think it is more like democratization of the funding scenario. Like now people are ready to invest in countries which are in the developing stages or which are not yet developed, like US as a market, because one thing is common across all these countries, like they have very high population, which means the potential market is very big, right? So if you have a lot of funding happening, which means a lot of companies get started, they create a lot of job employments, job opportunities. Maybe that's why people who have been going or looking towards Western countries for their studies, higher education, and then job as the ultimate goal are actually coming back to their home countries or taking the jobs in their home countries and expanding the overall employment market. So these are some of the things that I've seen in the past. So, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, actually, that's
I
totally true.
Guys, just a second. I didn't want to interrupt Ayush, but Ayush, what the fuck have you done with your avatar, man? That is freaking cool. That looks insane.
That is Ayush.
That's me. That's me. That's my new hairstyle.
Is that sniper? Is that your call sign?
No, I changed my barber, so this is my new hairstyle.
Yeah.
You got a plastic surgery there.
That's a lot of plastic surgery, hair transplant.
It looks amazing though, irrespective of everything.
Look, right. I've been trying like this AR thing these days, so I stumbled upon this new app, by Snap. Snap has this Snap Lens Studio where you can create your avatars, your avatars, and I've been like working on it,
I
doing
need
things.
one.
Even
I need one,
one
man.
call.
You know what? I didn't even realize I was talking to Ayush so naturally that I didn't bring it up.
It's too realistic.
I mean, AR means asli reality. So, doing
Oh,
That's true. But
that
coming
looks
back to
freaking cool,
the,
man.
I mean, I have another point to add to what we were just talking about, right? I think even with Gojek's example, where Ayush, so what I noticed is that people or millionaires are migrating mostly towards Singapore, Dubai, or places where there is a strong judicial background, and things will actually happen if you go into the courts. Even Gojek is registered in Singapore, and almost every big company in India or in Indonesia and a lot of other places are actually registered in Singapore. We know about Flipkart. We know about how they had to shift the shares and what else needed to be done. Hence, the Delaware Corp also happens, right? Like the money
Yeah.
is definitely flowing in, but right now people are preferring Singapore over Delaware too. Not everyone, but depending on the geography. If you're just concentrated to cater to the Southeast Asian markets, then people prefer to open up their companies in Singapore or they prefer to open it up in Dubai based on what it offers to you. And that also includes inflow of people. I think once more and more people start coming on, right? Like I think, and this is a trend which we saw with the crypto and the Web3 guys. A lot of Web3 founders, specifically in India, are actually shifted to Dubai or have shifted to Singapore. And that's because of the laws not being crystal clear. I think once the law stabilizes is when the millionaires or everyone as a founder kind of wants to live in that country as much.
Yeah, no, there has been in the last week itself. So we have heard enforcement directorate trying, raiding at WazirX and CoinSwitch Kuber. So of course, it definitely lowered down the confidence of the entrepreneur of how he wants to conduct his business and hiring as well. So that is totally true. And coming to Singapore, of course, I think we just heard today the news that Singapore is issuing some kind of a work pass to attract top talent. Of course, the work pass is meant for people who are earning like $30,000, 30,000 Singaporean dollars per month, right? So, of course, targeting the cream of the cream society, but they're giving them, and but people who have expertise in the field of art or sports or research, of course, they have been allowed to live in Singapore for 5 years without any such, salary bracket constraints. So, of course, that is definitely happening.
But must tell you 30,000 SGD is nothing in Singapore. Like, it's super expensive. 30,000 SGD is not a very high bar for the salaries there, I would say.
Well,
I'm sure this
That's
reverse
a good
brain
thing.
drain.
I think that's a good thing because then
Yeah.
you are welcoming many more people actually.
Yeah, but this reverse brain drain is definitely happening. And I was also talking to a couple of friends. They were saying that a lot of influential people have started to shift back from the states, and we see everyday examples like Balaji Srinivasan was also doing a webinar a couple of a couple of months ago on why India is the next golden goose. And of course, we know that India is the next golden goose in the next 20 years because we are somehow being compared to China's in the 1990s, where the whole manufacturing boom came uh, and then it was just golden for the next.
but they're talking
15
about
years.
building it in for India. They're talking about marketing it in India. They're not talking about shifting to India, I guess.
No, I think wealth is generated when a lot of goods and services are created and costs are cheap and value at which they are sold is very high.
But
So-
the internal consumption in India still remains small.
So that's
Absolutely.
that's
What we are
absolutely okay.
actually looking at is a lot of exports, to be very honest.
I
Building
agree.
cheap and exporting to high value countries. And
But
that
that's
is why people
different with
think
China. I mean, just wanted to clarify that China does have a lot of internal, even after the economic downturn, which they were imposed upon, and different things that happen in Chinese middle class grew to such a point that there's a lot of internal consumption of goods which they make. So
you're
I
right,
think
Manik, but that happened after a certain amount of years only. In the 1919, when the Zedong governance was there, then the most of the Chinese population was on the bottom pyramid only. Around the early 2000s is when they started to see when the exports led economy led to a lot of US inflow of dollars. that is when they start to see the lower income bracket rise to a healthy bulging middle class, like a bulging kind of a graph shape, and that's when the whole consumption started. So it took around 10 to 15 years to reach that stage before the consumption really kicked in.
But that's why I'm wanting to come in and say it's different for China compared to what India is going to face, because
It is.
China was a manufacturing economy, India is a service economy.
Yes.
Our biggest import to the world is software engineers. And to train highly qualified software engineers for even the whole population, which is the young population that we have as an advantage. I mean, there are tons of startups doing that. But for them, the whole public education or the whole education system has to change and evolve around. It can happen, not saying it will not happen. Will it play out or pan out is not going to be very similar correlation is what I feel so. Plus, we have never actually touched a double-digit growth numbers in terms of how quickly as a country we are growing, which Chinese did.
Yeah.
And our
I want to add
consumption
some numbers there.
limited to the India alpha, right? Like,
Yeah, I want to add some numbers there to support Manik's point. Although, in terms of hiring, India has shown like 22% actually growth compared to last year June to this year June. So, and if you look at the numbers, that which are those sectors which are hiring, it is usually the first one is hitting the travel and hospitality, because thanks that COVID is the thing in the past. Hopefully, now it's again moving up. Retail, insurance, accounts, things of finance services, BFSI, education. So if you're looking at all the service sector industries are actually attracting more freshers as well as people of more experience. So yeah, India is definitely a service first economy in that way.
But for now, guys,
For now, exactly.
Now it is right now, and I have a contrarian view. India could only become a service-based economy because China had already become a manufacturing economy. Because when China is feeding the whole world with the cheap goods, India has infinite number of people. What does it do with it? With those people, we look at an alternate sector, and that's why the service economy boomed in the 1990s. Now, with all the sanctions being imposed on Chinese imports, India is the place to go for manufacturing
so?
as well.
I don't think so.
Is there an actual
No, the cost of labor of India is still not as cheap as the cost of labor there back in 90s. We will not be able to match it up to what Africans will be. You're forgetting the Africa as a whole continent, not wanting to quantify any one country. I mean, Nigeria is exporting a lot of software engineers too. And that as a continent has the youngest population along with India. I think you're discounting how much of money can actually flow into Africa compared to the flow of money into India because of the manufacturing thing. But Paras and Ayush, your take on these?
Paras, please go ahead.
Go on.
So I have basically 2 points on this. First, manufacturing is a very previous centuries thing, like which made China what it is right now. So what we guys are talking about are not the new things but the old things. Like India creating content for the global platform.
Media powerhouse.
Right. So like we become a content exporter. We become a media exporter to the globe. So that is the new kind of economy that comes into play, which has not been there in the past. Right. So I mean, I'm not going to talk about manufacturing, which country or which continent is better for the manufacturing. I mean, everyone will have a fair chance to grow and to become what they want to be, with impositions and bans by the Chinese government on multiple things. But there are alternate economies that is going to be created from India. Gaming is one, media content is one. Right. So these are the kind of blockchain. India can become a blockchain powerhouse by like Polygon. Polygon is like, if I'm not wrong, top 3 blockchain companies in the globe right now. Right. So I mean, these are the kind of, and it's a product in its soul. It's an infrastructure in its soul. It's a very solid layer 2 or sidechain infrastructure to the whole blockchain ecosystem. Right. So I'm very positive about all these alternate economies that is going to be created from India and will be exported to the world.
So I'll give my brief take on this. Honestly, I'm not very bullish on markets that have high consumerism in them necessarily being those markets where most jobs will be created, because I am a big believer of globalization and I hope it keeps going up. And if globalization is increasing, that means consumption appetite of a country can be fulfilled by any country, not necessarily citizens of that country. So if that becomes the norm, then the markets, I think, that will create the most jobs and the highest quality jobs are those who can build for the world. Now, to build for the world, there are a few things that you need, which happen to be with India. I think that's why India is in a good position. Like one of them is an English-speaking population. I think that's an important one if you are building for the world. And now building for the world can be anything. I'm very open to whether it is manufacturing, whether it is media, powerhouse, services. It can be anything. The idea is to build for the world so you can just fulfill the appetite of the consumption in the world. And the more countries you can cover, better it is. So English-speaking population is good. Understanding of cultures of the world is a better thing. Like recently, I was studying somewhere. A guy made an argument saying probably a millennial in India who binges Netflix has a better understanding of America than most Americans.
Yeah.
Because they consumes so much American content. So, like in India, people understand American culture a lot now. At least if you talk about the OTT subscribers, so that's another big plus. That if you understand the global culture, you understand you are an English-speaking population, and skills-wise, you can build for the world. I think the one country who cracks all these three very nicely is very well positioned for both number of jobs and the quality of jobs to be created. So I think that's where the holy grail lies, not in the fact that whichever one is a big consumption economy will create more jobs. That will be the case if globalization doesn't pan out and it goes in the opposite direction where people create silos.
And in that case, Paris, I don't think so. We should only talk about India. We should also talk about Southeast Asia in general and Africa.
That's what I'm saying. They can build for the world. Roblox has been built out of Asia because these guys can build for the world.
Makes a lot of sense.
I mean, that is totally true. And sorry, Chirag, go continue.
I see Indonesia as also a big powerhouse. I see Vietnam as a big powerhouse. I see Nigeria, of course, as a big powerhouse.
Bangladesh
Is a big powerhouse.
Pakistan has been having a lot of coders and everything. Their tech scene is booming.
Yeah. In fact, I was actually also hearing a couple of opinions that Thailand is starting to have a good tech economy, which is surprising, but it's amazing that Southeast Asia is actually coming up pretty strong.
There
And,
are
Agoda, the biggest, like one of the big travel companies based out of Thailand, Bangkok.
yeah.
even
absolutely.
there's like a Bali, a very side note, but I heard about a startup house in Bali, which is something which I would really want to explore if any of you guys are up for it.
Why not? We can have an annual New Year vacation there.
Yes, that is totally true that we do see that happening. So one thing that all of us touch while talking about the job market were the future job opportunities and the sectors, right? So if all of us would like to add some more points on the type of career opportunities that are going to open up in the future, which our audience also would like to know, and maybe if they are trying to seek career switches or they're trying to seek which career to build in, so that might help. So why don't you pick one field, Chirag, that you think will have a lot of career opportunities?
I wanted to go full sci-fi on this, but
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
I'll start with the pretty normal ones. Remote jobs are definitely in the trend. There are many startups who help you get jobs sitting in India to European countries, US, or anywhere across the world, help you with compliances.
Yeah.
Right. One of my friends is building this startup called SKUAD Squad, which helps other companies hire people from across the world. Another friend is building this startup called Pesto, which trains all the engineers to get tech jobs abroad at great salaries. So I think that is the general trend that we are seeing in the hiring space for sure. And going very sci-fi, I think the kinds of jobs that are going to be created in the next 15, 20 years, thinking a little on a longer horizon, and I love to do that, would be a lot of AI-based jobs where we would have personal assistants and we would essentially be servicing them, fixing them, helping them learn new skills for different stages in a human's life. Space exploration is definitely opening up with NASA planning its moon mission in 2024. Elon Musk progressing daily with the reusable rockets, Falcon 9 being launched, satellites in the lower Earth orbit, all of that is happening. So that's pretty exciting. I think space tech is a brilliant field if people want to look at for the next couple of years. And the moon mission is something which I'm particularly very psyched about of 2024-2025 by NASA, where they're again trying to send humans to the moon and build a permanent base this time, which would essentially help us. So how we see this, how I exactly see this as how we grew as a civilization, right? We we started off from an island, example, and then we hopped onto other islands, and then we hopped onto a continent, and then we grew, right? So looking at Moon, Mars, the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, consider these as islands on which we would make a small substation, a small base, continue to mine that planet, that dwarf star, or that asteroid, right? And using those resources, we'll grow the substation and then use it as a stepping stone to the next voyage. So I'm very psyched up about space tech for sure. Renewable energy, extremely psyched about that, because you see with the Russia cutting off their gas pipelines and access of cheap energy to Europe, suddenly there is a surge of that. Hey, we need nuclear power. When all these
self-sufficient with energy.
Yes, self-sufficient energy. When these nuclear power plants are created on scale, we need people to service them. We need, and this is high criticality kind of power plants, which require a lot of uh, focus, attention, day in, day out to service, manage, and run. So amazing streams to focus on.
Adding to your point, Chirag, I think you forgot that there's a marketing arm of ISRO called Antrix Corporation Limited, and that company has been bidding of so many projects, so many tender globally, and competing at at the global level of getting those missions to launch satellites for other countries and all. So there are a lot of at-home opportunities coming up in space tech.
In fact, I think there will be a lot of opportunity in garbage cleaning of lower Earth
one at a time. Let other also.
Yeah, so I just want to say, like, garbage cleaning of lower Earth orbit, where all these waste satellites are just
All the debris.
Yeah, the debris. So some kind of startup should come up which would clean that.
And
that's a lot of
Whenever
money.
we would go abroad,
What skill should I get to clean that garbage? Please highlight.
build robots which would go out and fetch it.
Swachh Vishwa Abhiyan.
I think before
Swachh Antriksh Abhiyan, bro.
Antariksham.
the first few robots will be built to mine different things rather than anything else, because there is enough resource material outside for us to sustain life. If it has to be space.
On the seabed itself, oceans are very less researched as of now.
I think we would rather go abroad, do the fancy thing and go outside the world.
Perfect. Manik, on to you. Tell us, like, one sector, one career opportunity, which you think will be the shining star.
This is a very difficult question to answer, to be honest, because I don't really know what. As humans, we are very overtly optimistic of how things will be, and very pessimistic in the short term, like how things turn out to be. So I'm not very sure how different it will be. Looking at 50 years from now, there will definitely be job opportunities which you could have never thought of. I mean, asking my grandparents what a TikToker would do would just blow their minds off. And similarly, imagine a kid who is just born in 2022, 22 years from now, which is going to be 44, when he enters the job market, how will it look like? I don't know if there will be one particular skills, if we have to discuss skills. But I think what will matter are the ability to reinvent ourselves. I think that's something which I've noticed, that the quicker the technology changes, then the faster you are able to reinvent yourself, the better it turns out to be. And having the general basic know-how including coding, because I think coding is a language which you will need to use to program. But that might even evolve, right? Like 10 years back, everyone was learning C. Right now, it's Python, and it might even change and evolve to something else. So I think it's just going to be, if I'm going to put my bets on, I'm hoping that Adam Smith's, and I'm borrowing from Adam Smith, that humans will work less and have more creative passions to follow and can get more things done. But that's very optimistic, overtly optimistic view of mine.
Yeah, Manik never misses a chance to slightly insert the Tomo Club thesis there, but okay.
Sorry, guys. I'll come back and say Metaverse is going to be huge. I think there's going to be a lot of things that's going to happen. We can see Ayush already is wearing the avatar, but if there's going to be trade and economics that's going to happen because of global warming and different other scenarios, the online world is going to be far beautiful than the actual world.
Yeah, Manik, that's perfect. That's actually the dystopian way the world may end onto.
From an optimistic view to one dystopian view.
Yes. Over to you, Ayush. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I'm actually very much in line with Manik. So basically, I see this as two extremes of the same scale. Like one, AI as the industry taking over, right? Earlier coders or developers used to write batch code in like batches. Now we make modules, right? As far as we keep improving the way technology is improving, the speed with which it's improving. So the AI and the AI basically, I mean the scripts, the automated scripts, the automated codes, and all these are going to take control, maybe in the form of software, maybe in the form of hardware. So these are the things that are going to take control in terms of product building, in terms of marketing, in terms of different other experiences, right? So one one side of the scale is this development or improvement of the AI as the whole industry, and then second, a lot of people getting free from the mundane jobs they have been doing, from the repetitive jobs they have been doing, which can be automated by these tools that are being created, which are much powerful than a human being. So basically, information, the time it takes information to travel from nerves in human brain is 1 millionth time slower than time it takes for information to travel in a chipset. Right. So AI or robots or newer technology are going to be 1 millionth time faster, 1 million times faster than what humans can process. So if AI can do a better job, then humans will be left to do a more creative job. That also I think to a certain period of time, because there are a lot of generative creative tasks being done by AI. So there's a project called ArtBlock, which generates art. So it's generative art that is selling at a very high price, somewhere around $70,000, $50,000, and it's being created by AI generator, right? So I mean that's also a very optimistic thing that humans are going to be there always for creating the creative stuff. Maybe AI will take over there as well, but yeah. So I'm in short term I'm bullish towards these two industries, creator economy and AI as an industry.
Yeah, perfect, Ayush. Actually, to lay more emphasis on your point of AI, I think although it was being talked about for decades, but as of now, we are actually using AI products, which are also customer facing. So like recently I started using this product called copy.ai, which actually if you put up like 4 to 5 lines of your, it helps you copyright and give you great recommendation depending on what kind of mood of the conversation you want, from persuasive to dominating to, let's say, pleasant and all that. So it is able to literally, not replace as of now completely, but reduce my dependency on content creators, at least in the textual format. Similarly, I see you were mentioning the other day this product in which you were able to describe an image and it will generate that image, which will be completely novel. It's not searching.
Correct, Dall-E. It's by it's built on GPT-3, which is like the major development by OpenAI, right? So I mean, you do not have to find a designer to create an image for you. You can just tell it to the system, and it will generate an image for you after analyzing like thousands and millions of images. Similar thing we have seen with AlphaGo or AlphaZero, right? So they are actually progressively getting intelligent and beating humans in chess and games like Go, which needs a lot of creativity.
Actually, coming to that point again, sorry, then Paras, I'll come to you as well. So, although a lot of people, when they hear this, they fear the fact that it's going to lead to job loss, which is true. According to like recent study I was reading about World Economic Forum, that the machine, the AI, will definitely displace 80 million jobs by 2025. But at the same time, you have to also understand that this will create 100 million jobs as well in the IT industry with a new set of skills. So sometimes we have to understand that this new technology can be scary, but then you have to reinvent, which Manik brought up as well. So yeah, very optimistic about it. Paras, up to you.
I'm a lot of good ground covered by people so far. So I'll give something which I am personally bullish on, but I don't think a lot of people talk about. It's an interesting one, which is, I think, the business of digital influence will go big, and so will the jobs that it creates. And I'll give you an example of the trend line. So around 7-8 years ago, blogging and being a YouTube vlogger were like hobbies for people. They were side hustles at best. The monetization route was Google AdSense. And today I was on a call with an AI brand consultant, and I was asking rates for these endorsements by Bollywood celebrities. And she said, this is X per XCR per annum. And I asked, what about this YouTuber? She said they are more expensive.
What?
Yeah. So, I mean, this is what is happening. What was a side hustle at best 7-8 years ago is one of the top most paying jobs in the country right now. Why I see digital influence going big, and why it will not be limited to a few people, which is what an argument made by a lot of people, that there can't be too many digital influencers. I disagree completely. I think one thing which is yet to be completely digitized, which will be digitized very soon, is politics. I think digital politics has not really come around properly right now. Still, a lot of advertisement happens offline. Now, imagine that with time regulations go stronger, that you can't, let's say, if you can't advertise about politics a lot, what the whole politics comes digital. In a way, it is also digital right now with a lot of these memers and what do you call them, trolls. So I think digital politicians and digital political party members who can collectively sway the elections itself will be such a big job creator. Like last, I remember I was reading somewhere that BJP has close to 20-30 crore members.
What?
Who have signed that they are BJP members, which is a number that boggles me. I'm not sure what is the credibility of this number, but it's a senior person at BJP who's told me this. So I don't know how their opt-ins have been created, but let's safely assume that 5 crore people have voluntarily interacted with BJP in some way. Now imagine them becoming a part of this digital politics. Facebook's algorithm are controlled, let's say, and they can't, a political party can't do a lot of ads and everything. So they rely on organic people. People sway the elections. It can be a big job creator, I think. Sorry, go on.
I mean, the only thing which I'm going to say before you can finish it all off is, if everyone's an influencer, who is an influencer? But
who's gonna get influenced? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, yeah, if all of us are influencers, then who's the influencer?
So I put it this way: if everyone can vote, if each vote is one, then everyone is an influencer. And I'm just saying the conversations that were happening in Chopals or are happening offline right now, imagine all of them coming online. Now, micro influencers becomes big. What if a person with 1,000 followers, like earlier, people who had millions of followers were the ones who were earning. Today, a 10K follower person can also earn significantly high on Instagram. I'm saying, what if so much economy is built around attention and influence that even a person with 1,000 followers can earn a living? So this digital influence can actually be a real job creator. The trend line is such. I mean, right now, people with high quality and less number of followers are also earning good. The other thing which I classify as a part of digital influence is avatar as a service. Like I was listening to this guy which triggered this thought internally. He said, I've got 5 NFTs. And one of them is like my NFT, which I own up to it. And what about the remaining 4? Can I hire 4 people to manage their personalities and build their avatars in the digital space, even if it's on Instagram or Twitter, let's say? So it is a very high possibility that people who are rich in digital, like all these people who have got huge following on Instagram, let's say, or they are Web3 millionaires, they hire hundreds of people to manage hundreds of their avatars, who become hundreds of avatar influencers who are not even real people, and people are managing avatars. Avatar being managed becomes a service. Like it's a bit dystopian that someone's digital personality is more important than the real person sitting behind it, and the digital personality can earn more than what it has to pay for the physical person sitting behind it, and it creates the job out of nowhere. So
Paris, we
avatar
are seeing the traces of that, what you've just said. So there's the Instagram account called Zero from Nexus. So it's a digital avatar which is being managed by a company. So there's no single person who manages that avatar. It's a company who manages that avatar.
I read about that.
I also I follow 2 like computer aided designs who are models. So avatar models I follow on Instagram who actually do brand endorsements, who actually make money out of a digital character.
Have you guys seen Tika the Iggy on Instagram? Check this out. It's a dog who's
It's a dog, no? Right?
Yeah, it's a dog who's a fashion model, and very soon. What if you have Dogo digital fashion models also?
Even on the same line.
I mean, even if they can't have the influence, what if? I mean, the story is yet to pan out. But what if a rich person has aspiration to live 100 lives, and now this avatar thing unlocks them to live 100 lives in parallel by putting 100 people behind them for BAU stuff, like business as usual stuff, and whenever they want to live the life of that particular avatar, they become the real person behind it, and the remaining time people keep managing it. So, like, how do you know whether influence is the real business? What if aspiration of a rich person is to live 100 lives at once?
That is very fantastic, because today only I read about a jellyfish who never dies and who can recreate their own DNA again and again in a cycle of it's called the immortal jellyfish. You guys can check it out.
Yeah,
I shared it to you, Chirag. Thank you.
Yes. So I said I read it.
I mean, anyway, people keep complaining that their friends have changed. So might as well live 100 lives. Probably it's natural to live 100 lives.
What would be the
Paris,
short
are you
form
thinking of getting jellyfish as your pet?
No, before that, I have a question to Paris. Paris, what would be the short form of avatar as a service?
That's nice. It's
it's gonna be ours. Triple A.
I see a lot of arts business coming up.
I see British accent seeping in.
Okay, so I'll now coming to me. I will tell about one sector which I see can be a major job creator, and one job profile which I think will be a high in demand. So coming to the job profile first, I think cybersecurity is a job profile which I think has always been talks, and now as and when the lot of attacks are happening on databases, and then blockchain is a technology, then Web3 products getting rubbed on Discord or on OpenSea, and then there are always conversation coming up, okay, on particular social media, so and so million databases is being hacked. Technically, I think cybersecurity is something which young people can pursue their career in, because it is gonna happen. You all 4 of you brought up something related to digital, and when it's digital, the safety will always be a concern, which will follow along with it. So I think this sector I foresee is gonna be evergreen in terms of opportunities. And one complete industry which I see can open up a lot of jobs is climate change. So in this, the job opportunities can range from hardware engineers to software engineers to actually finance accountants who's going to keep a track of carbon credits for the companies.
A lot of
Or,
data
do
guys.
a lot of data guys do, yeah, a lot of data analytics. They might be have to file a credit report, a carbon credit report to the government soon. So, there can be a complete different financing team sitting on it. And so, yeah, I think these two will be my bets.
Irrespective of this, guys, whatever industry you work in, just don't work with shit founders. Try to work with good founders. Do a background check, thorough background check. Have a lot of ref checks, because your ultimately career would be dependent on the kind of people you work with, and that is most important.
And
Coming
we
to
are
that
hiring
point,
across roles, remember.
of
Please.
course. And coming to that point, Chirag, let's talk about the Great Resignation, which is happening right now as we speak in the US, and some kind of effects is seen global as well, where people are leaving jobs at a much faster rate, right? And there are tons of reasons behind it. So just to explain to everyone that this phenomena is quite recently seen, and COVID-19 pandemic is supposed to be one of the major, I would say, activation agent in the Great Resignation, where people have started to take into consideration their work-life balance, take in consideration of schedule flexibility, freedom of remote work, and as well as the type of job they want to seek. And this is still happening, and a lot of companies are kind of actually taking advantage of Great Resignation by offering tons of things, right? From frequent promotion cycles to parental leave to mental health breaks to work from home indefinitely. So yeah, you are absolutely right, Chirag. It's now have to be employer has to think a lot to attract talent, and this trend is only going up.
Yes, absolutely. So I think after COVID, it has become a much more employee-driven market than an employer-driven market. And I'm talking about high-quality, talented employees. I'm not talking about the masses. Um, so, and essentially all the companies which are remote companies, right? They can at any single day wake up and they can hire from the globe, anywhere, everywhere, right? All they have to just solve for is serendipity of the workplace, where these chance interactions are common and people can just brainstorm on the go. That is something that they want to solve for, and I think with a hybrid culture, it can be solved for 2 days a week or so, where people are just jamming in the office with some after beer hours or something, and that's where real ideas and creativity comes out, where your business is not stagnant and you can diversify quickly, put the right person in the right seat, and drive it essentially for your company. So that's what I believe. But what I feel is, yeah, remote countries will definitely have an edge over from office companies, because from office companies will only be limited to the local talent and people grow
I
companies.
I think there's one thing which I will add here though, that in early stage startup, it's better to have someone on ground with you rather than just doing everything remote, because there's value attached to team bonding and culture being built and understanding how different functions happen. Otherwise, everyone working in silos might not be the best way going forward. It can work for someone who's already done it and can create a good culture online, but it's still not the most optimum way. At least that's what I feel.
Also, I was a part of this very intelligent discussion, which really intrigues me, and I keep trying it in bits and pieces. Is that what is the future of jobs is bounty based and not salary based. Whenever I need money, I look for bounties put up by companies, and if I have the skills for it, I can go do the task and claim my bounty. So this is not same as freelancing, because at freelancing you are sort of you have to always do the matchmaking, or it's a continuous relation which is task based. Bounty based future is something like, let's say, all marketing jobs at one place by 100 companies, and each one has a bounty against it that do this task, claim this bounty. So whenever I need money, I just go complete the tasks, claim the bounty, and move on. So
So if the future of jobs is bounty based, Paras, then the future
Possible.
of organization should be decentralized.
yeah, this is an argument that I heard, and the discussion was being done over DAOs only, which are decentralized autonomous organizations. Basically, why does an organization need to be a centralized entity? Why can't it be a phenomenon like God? Like, it is there, but it's not there anywhere. Like, people just believe that it exists and everyone caters to it. So are something like that, and a bounty based future might be actually good, best of both worlds. that it's very efficient for the organization, and at the same time, it provides that kind of flexibility.
I think you should try that. I think you should try that and leave with all your community.
We've done in bits and pieces. For example, if you do a graphic design, at times we have done this that if we feel the creative energy is not coming enough from internally, so we put up a bounty, and at times we get very good entries, and the person who claims it gets it on their profile also that they were able to claim this bounty by leave. So we've seen good initial results actually.
I have a little, like, it's a question, I would say, more like to you, Paras, that when you talk about bounty-based things, I foresee that when you have a very clear objective of what you want to achieve, then bounty works much better. Your job description is very clear written and your deliverables are also very clear. But if you talk about a lot of cognitive-based, job in a company, right? So when you have to think, try, recalibrate, think, and then try again. How do you see that happening to be controlled in a decentralized way now, or in a bounty format?
I mean, it can be a long-term bounty also. Na? See, the way it will work is, let's say the task that is on bounty, it's going to take 1 month to complete. That essentially means 5 people working on it at once will be very tricky because only one will claim the bounty. So multiple dynamics can play out. People can form guilds, like these 5 people come together and say, let's do this stuff together and let's claim this bounty. So it gets equally split among all of us. That's one kind of power dynamics that will play out. Other is the bounty is so big that it's worth it for 5 people to work on it, even if one person wins, because it's so lucrative. So there are different models being visible. I think the guild model right now is working very well, where people work in groups to claim that bounty.
Yeah, I have one very interesting angle to it. Sorry, I'm cutting you there, but I have a very interesting angle to it. When you talk about these kind of future method of working, I see that hard skills will be very important. Of course, you need to know how to do the job. But I think one sector which needs to be focused here is soft skill development. So when you are doing remote job, how you are able to communicate your, work properly. How are you thinking critically or analytically, or I would say agility. There are a lot of those soft skill things which will definitely give you an edge over others, especially in this scenario, because it becomes, I would say, the make and break in most of the cases when I am hiring people, right? So if I weigh people with skills versus person who's less in skill but more in EQ, I think I bet on that guy more. Yes, over to you, Ishazar.
I like how Avinash just plugged in Tomo Club at this point of time. We're now going to Ayush. Paras, you're not wearing the t-shirt, man.
Sorry.
Yes.
No, I don't have to add anything. So good.
Cool. This is fun.
Wow. I think next time, who's going to be the moderator, guys? It's a betting game that's happening at this point of time.
Guys, next time the pod is going to be about Metaverse. So I think Paras or Ayush need to buck up their game of.
They are the only 2 left, Chirag. That was a good probability game you're playing out there. 50,
yeah, no. Otherwise, I would have claimed back the throne. It's been too long.
Perfect, guys. Perfect. I think a lot of valuable inputs, a lot of valuable ideas been shared in this quick wrap of 40 minutes, and I think it can be something very relevant for our audience. So yeah, I think.
Avinash, you were an excellent Avinash.
Sorry.
Great. Yeah. You were an excellent host.
Especially in your yellow, looking very nice. I think you were prepared for this.
Thank you so much. I didn't, but thank you so much.
Okay, guys, checking out. Thank you.